Good morning, everybody. Welcome
Morning.
to Talking Baseball. My name is Scott Morgan of Motor City Madmouth. Pleased to be joined by my colleague and legendary writer, Barry Bloom. Thanks you very much for being on, Barry. Appreciate you.
Great to be here.
All right. And we have Candy Ebling on as well. Glad to have Candy on.
Glad to be here.
And we have Eric Katz, and glad to have you on as well, Eric.
Good to be here, Scott. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. And last but not least, Tony Lewis. Glad to have you.
Yep. Good morning, guys.
All right, we're going to talk about some Hall of Fame. We'll get to as many as we can here because there's a lot of big names, and we're going to go out there and hit them. First of all, Barry, do you think Gary Sheffield should belong in the Hall of Fame? He goes as an average of 292, hits 2689, home runs 509, RBIs 1676, runs 1636.
Do I think he should be in there?
Yeah. No. Okay. Why?
I think he's a very nice player, but I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
Okay. Fair enough.
And there's a lot of people on these ballots that are, the Hall of Fame is running out of candidates at this point, particularly for these guys who've been around and been on ballots for years. I mean, how many ballots has Gary Sheffield been on already?
Yeah, well, that's true. Candy?
He's a 9-time All-Star, World Series champion, 5 Silver Slugger Awards, National Batting Champion for 1992. Do I think he deserves? I'm going to say yes.
Okay. Everybody will have opinions on this one, Barry, but obviously I value yours quite a bit. Eric?
Yes, I do believe he belongs in the Hall of Fame. He's hit over 500 home runs. He's won a World Series. He's been to multiple All-Star games, and he did it with multiple teams, including the Padres, the Dodgers, the Marlins, the Yankees, and he was still a productive player with the Tigers later on as well. And I think just given his longevity in the game and what he's accomplished, that he absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not sure what the holdup is as far as what the writers are concerned, but I think what the writers do is they use like whether that player was a nice guy against them. I mean, despite David Ortiz's steroid allegations, the media loves Ortiz. That's why he got in. And I think that's the big thing that's holding Gary Sheffield back from being in the Hall of Fame is because the guy wasn't a likable guy.
Eric, you don't know what you're talking about. He's not on the writer's ballot anymore. He wiped out off the writer's ballot. He's now on the contemporary committee.
I know that.
Well, then why are you blaming the writers? It's long ago that the writers didn't, or not that many years ago, that the writers didn't vote him in on all the years he was on the ballot. Mm-hmm. Now it's up to a completely different committee.
Mm-hmm.
And just reading off his stats off his stat sheet and who he played for doesn't. Who on here saw Gary Sheffield actually play? Scott, did you see him play?
I did.
You saw him play live?
Yeah, we're not that young, Barry.
How old?
Well, yeah, I saw him play.
Okay.
I saw him. I remember him a lot. I remember him a lot more with the Braves and the Yankees, the Tigers, and then obviously the end there with the Mets.
And I remember him with the Brewers, which is the start of his career.
Yeah, he was a kid. And
yep.
I covered him with the Padres. So.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, he was a nice player.
He was.
Yeah. Well, here's where I'm at with this. And again, it could go a lot of different ways. I value the 500 home run mark as a plateau to get there. Is that enough to get you in there? I don't know. But that's one of the things that I look at. Let's continue on. I want to go in rapid fire.
Oh, wait.
Go ahead, Tony.
1 second. I think Gary Sheffield should be in. I agree with you, Scott. I thought at some point I felt like certain metrics was almost like check marks that normally get you in. And 500 was normally a number that gets you in. And I agree with Eric. Yeah, he's not on the writer's ballot now. And that's because the writers hated on him so long that he got pushed off of it. It still falls on the writers who might have felt a certain way about him and decided not to vote him in. So I feel like Gary Sheffield should be in personally. Somebody who bats over 290, somebody with 500 home runs. Look at some of the people who have gotten in recently. They're not better than Gary Sheffield. They're probably nicer people than Gary Sheffield, but they're not better players.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to go rapid fire on a lot of topics. I want to get as much as I can of you, Barry. 30 minutes goes by fast on this show. So, all right, let's go. Will Albert Pujols be a unanimous selection to the Baseball Hall of Fame? I have to go into his numbers. Well, 296 hits. Obviously, he had 703 home runs. But 296 batting average, hit 384, 703 home runs, RBI 2218, and the beat goes on. So, does he get in unanimously, Barry?
Probably not. Nobody gets in unanimously. If Jeter didn't and Ichiro didn't, Mariano's been the only one. And I just don't think. I think Albert will probably miss on a few ballots for whatever reason. And
Okay.
this characterization, Tony, that writers are hating on people. They're not hating on people. They just don't vote for them. I mean, we all have our ballots. We all have our choices. And because you on your ballot, I voted in this since 1992. The only person who's gotten into the Hall of Fame I haven't voted for is Jim Rice. I mean, did I
Okay.
hate on Jim Rice because I didn't vote for him? No, I just didn't think he had the numbers and the intangibles to get into the Hall of Fame. That's a completely different,
Barry, I'm
area.
sorry. You literally just said that Derek Jeter was not unanimous because somebody was a hater.
He wasn't a hater.
Somebody was a hater. That's just
No,
a
he
fact.
wasn't. He wasn't a hater.
You are. Why?
No,
Okay.
because people look at the ballot and they go, and I'm just judging it because it's anonymous, which I'm against. But some guy might have said Derek Jeter is going to be elected. I'm going to use that spot for somebody else. Doesn't mean that you're hating on Jeter because you didn't vote for him. You're just projecting that because the guy didn't get the vote that he was hated on. There's not that's not the point of the elections, and that's not what the elections are all about. Because you don't vote for a player doesn't mean you're hating on him.
Shouldn't
Well-
the vote be based on what you feel, not what another guy's getting in? If you feel like Derek Jeter is a Hall of Famer, shouldn't you vote that he's a Hall of Famer? I don't feel like you should.
I don't agree with the fact that guy should vote.
Hey, Tony.
But it's his vote, and or her vote, and they have every right to vote. It's the same thing as a presidential election. You might not agree with who I vote for, but because I vote for one candidate doesn't mean I'm hating on the other candidate.
Right.
What'd you say?
Wait, hold on one second. Let me intervene here. Number one, I want Tony and Eric to understand one thing. I know that we could debate 9 million topics about why this should be done. That's not the purpose of this whole thing. When I brought Barry on here, I want you to learn about the inner workings of how the Hall of Fame voting works. And that's why I want you to try to respect his experience and his background, that he's been doing this for 9 million years.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't have disagreements amongst each other. I just want to set the parameters straight about respecting a guy that's been in the press box and been doing it so long, and he's an award-winning writer for a lot of different places, because I've known Barry a long time, and I've never seen a more credible writer than him. I have a lot of friends of mine in the business, like the Tom Gages, the Tony DeMarcos, Bob Ryans, and the list goes on, Barry. So bear in mind, these are young guys that obviously are trying to learn what it's about. They'll pick your brain. They may have opinions, but I just want to make sure that they understand the inner workings of how this works. And I agree.
It's all cool and all good, but if you say something and I don't agree with it, I'm going to point it out. That's it.
That's okay. No problem. I just want to keep it real. Okay. So, all right. Who have I left here? Katie, Albert Pujols, unanimous or not?
That's tough. He becomes eligible in 2028. I don't think he's going to be unanimous, but he will get in first ballot.
All right. So Eric and Tony, a lot of these questions are going to be yes and no, so we can get through as many of these things as we can. So
Okay.
is he unanimous? Yes or no, Eric?
No, someone inevitably is going to leave him off. That's just what they do.
All right, Tony.
No.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, Barry, question a lot of people probably wonder, why is Curt Schilling not in the Hall of Fame?
Well, I voted for him on and off the ballot, and I've known Curt for a long time. I had a personal relationship with him. I think
Right.
his politics basically turned off a lot of people during his time on the ballot. He went on the air once, I guess after the first time he didn't get in, and he blamed the liberal media for doing it. And I went on, texted with him, and said, "Kurt, that's bull. I'm a liberal media, and I voted for you. I mean, basically, you're alienating 50% of the people who are voting by your politics. Why don't you calm it down a little bit?" And he refused to do it. He was going to be Kurt no matter what, and that's fine. But I think that's why Kurt Schilling was not elected to the Hall of Fame, and why he will never be. I don't even think he'll be back on a contemporary era ballot again.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, let's continue on. And that's it. Don Mattingly, Hall of Famer, fan vote. If you had the choice, or will any of these get in? We know Don Mattingly missed out. Steve Garvey and Keith Hernandez. You think any one of these three, or none of them will get in?
Are you asking me or the other guys?
No, I'm asking you, and then I'll follow around.
Okay. As much as I love Mattingly, I think, he's said he's not a Hall of Famer. So
Right.
If he says that, I have to go along with it. There's a sentimental choice about him, obviously, but I don't think he's going to get in. Garvey, for the life of me, when you look at his numbers, how potent he was as a player in pressure situations, he played in 1,207 straight games, which is still a National League record. He had the record for consecutive errorless streak at first base. I mean, he's a two-time NL championship MVP, a league MVP, a multi-all-star, a 290-something hitter. Why he hasn't gotten in, I don't know, but I don't think he's ever going to get in. And the third one was
Keith Hernandez.
And he's another one. He's just a great player, but I think, drugs and a lot of other reasons are why he's not going to get in.
Okay, Candy, around the horn. I'll give you a real quick. Any of the three, or which one?
I don't think Don will, unfortunately. Steve Garvey, I think he eventually will, and Keith, I don't think will.
Okay, Eric.
Don, I don't think he will. I mean, just too short of a peak. And then Steve Garvey, I think will at some point. And then Keith Hernandez, I think he should be in.
Yeah, and I'm with you, Barry. But Don's told me too when I interviewed him that unfortunately his career wasn't long enough to allow him to get in. All right, let's talk about another hypothetical Hall of Fame vote.
You skipped Tony here.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tony. Sorry, buddy.
It's all good. Yeah, I find it hard to think that any of them get in. I mean, they can't do anything different to their resume. So I don't think anybody get in. I do feel like with the media coverage of Don Mattingly growing, he might sneak in. Like, I really feel like he might be able to sneak in, but I don't think any of the three get in.
Let me just interject here that I just wrote about it. Mattingly and Dale Murphy have now been on the ballot 19 times and haven't gotten in. 15 times on our ballot when it used to be 15-year eligibility, plus the 4 era veterans committees that they haven't voted on, and both of them got 6 votes in this last election. So I don't see them ever getting in.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, Hall of Fame vote again. Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, Barry Bonds. I know how you feel about Barry Bonds, but now you're talking about 3 of them that were banned. Is there any way that any of these are going to get in?
I think the only way these guys get in is that someday in the future, when there's more enlightened leadership at the Hall of Fame, they will make a select committee like they did with the Negro Leagues, and they will reevaluate the steroid era, the gambling, and they will decide whether there's a different wing of the Hall of Fame they can put him into, whether they can put it on their plaques. But I think it's shunting aside Shoeless, which is a different era. But in the current era, you can't have a Hall of Fame without the all-time hits leader, the all-time home run leader, a guy who's the only one in history to hit 60 homers in 3 seasons, a guy who's had 354 wins in his era, second in his era behind Maddox, and won the Cy Young Award 7 times. That's not a representative Hall of Fame. And I think the Hall of Fame has made itself irrelevant doing what the stance it's taking.
Candy?
I think those do a separate section display for each of the steroids era and the gambling era. I think so. I think eventually they get in via that way.
Eric,
There are plenty of people, I can only speak for Pete Rose. There are plenty of people in baseball who will never forgive Pete Rose for what he did. And I don't think people will allow Barry Bonds in because they used the steroid thing. So they used the steroid thing like against him, and also the fact that he wasn't a nice guy to the media. So I don't see him getting in.
Tony,
I don't think they should. Well, hold on. I think they should be in. I don't think they will get in. Telling the story of baseball. I mean, at the end of the day, Hall of Fame is just a museum, and telling the story of baseball without them is very weird. But they're not putting them in now. I don't think it's gonna happen no time soon.
I mean, I think Pete Rose and Barry Bonds should get in based on their numbers, but again, it's a scandal situation, which makes it difficult. And of course, Shoeless Jackson, a lot of people really don't know much about him. All right, so let's continue on, Barry. So here, I'm going to throw another hypothetical at you. If you needed a Game 7 starter, must-win game, who would you take? Bob Gibson, Sandy Koufax, Jack Morris, or Madison Bumgarner?
Oh, I'd take Sandy Koufax at his peak. We're all talking about guys at their peak. And,
right.
When you go back to the World Series in the 60s and how dominant, Koufax was, and especially in 63 and 65. I mean, 66 already, his arm was falling off. But really, the guy did in the 65 World Series what Yamamoto pretty much did in this World Series. But he didn't. He started on short rest. The pitch complete games. I mean, games 1 and 4. He pitched games 1 and 4 of the 1963 World Series, and he led up 3 runs. One was a home run to Mickey Mantle, and the only run the Yankees got in Game 4. I mean, he struck out a record of 15 in Game 1. I mean, the guy at his peak was probably the best pitcher in history.
Katie,
Sandy Koufax as well.
Eric.
I'm going with Bob Gibson. They moved the pitching mound back because of him, and also in World Series play, when this was back before they had the postseason like they do now, his ERA was $1.89. It doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah. Tony?
I was kind of torn on this because I went through everybody Game 7 stats, but I gotta go Jack Morris just because if you go 10 innings and don't give up a run in a Game 7 of the World Series, I gotta go with that. I only went looking at Game 7s. I didn't go through a whole series of looking at it, but just Game 7, I'm gonna go Jack Morris. 10 innings, no runs against that Braves team that I thought was gonna start a dynasty. I'll go with that.
See, for me, Barry, it's a coin toss. It really is between Koufax and Gibson. I've met both of them in person before. I kind of have to lean a little bit toward Gibson because he's the most intimidating pitcher on the planet. You get anywhere near him, and you're going to need to clean your jersey because he didn't mind knocking you down 9 million times over. And he was smart the way he commanded the strike zone. But that's a coin toss for me. Flip a coin, you ain't going to lose either one with Gibson or Koufax, but I kind of have to lean toward Gibson. All right, so if you're going to give a 10-year contract in their prime, Barry, who are you going to give it to? Tom Seaver, Steve Carlton, or Nolan Ryan?
Well, all of them. I mean, what
Oh, come on, Barry. I had to throw you off a little bit, man. Come on. You think I was going to make everything obvious? How long have you known me for, man?
Well, I guess if I had to take among the 3, I'd probably, because of longevity, I'd pick Ryan.
You know what? Your first answer was still pretty good, Barry. It really, really was. So if you want to say all of the above, I'm going to give you that one on this. Is that fair enough?
That's fair.
Because I respect your knowledge of what the heck you meant to this game. So, you know what? I'm giving you all of the above. All right, buddy?
Oh, yeah. By the way, Eric, just a note for you. They actually lowered the mound. They didn't move it back because of Gibson.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, Candy?
I'm going to take Nolan Ryan. So many no-hitters. I'm going to take Nolan.
You're not going to go wrong with that Nolan Ryan pick, by the way. Even with all those no hitters, one hitters, and all that business, and the fact that he beat Robin Ventura up in a fight when Robin was dumb enough to go out there and charge him out, and thought that baseball was boxing. Only it looked as bad as Jake Paul, and who was the guy that fought him last night? I never
Anthony
mind.
Joshua.
Yeah, that okay.
You didn't throw Cy Young in there.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, right.
I mean, the guy had more complete games than he had wins.
Come on, Barry, that wasn't one of the choices.
He also, Cy Young also supposedly broke a fence with his fastball.
Yeah.
But he has an award named after him. But no, it wasn't one of the choices. Otherwise, I'd have thrown it in there, Barry. That's a curveball you threw at me. All right. Now you're throwing him in there. So now you got 4 of them. Fair enough?
Yeah.
All right.
I
Well,
would give it to Cy Young.
It's a good staff right there.
well, then you can give it to him. I already gave it to 4 people. What's that? Anybody that I didn't get on this topic?
Eric, did you say?
Yeah, me. No, I didn't. I would give it to Noah Ryan because the guy was still putting up great numbers well into his 40s.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously his durability was unbelievable as well, and he ended up going worth a 10-year contract. So it'd be pretty hard to debate Nolan Ryan. But you know what? I'm going Barry's road. I'm taking them all. I don't have to sit here. I'll be Brett Favre, and I'll go ahead and start waffling over this stuff. Really, seriously, really, that's one of my favorite words, by the way, Barry.
So Tony's turn.
All right, so I tried to define their primes, which was hard because Nolan Ryan played so long. So I tried to figure out their best 10-year stretch. And with that, I went Steve Carlton. Between 72 and 82, he won 208 games. He was a 4 times wins leader. So he had more wins than either Nolan Ryan or Tom Seaver in any stretch. And he threw a lot of innings. I think one year he had like 333 innings. That's the kind of horse you want for a 10-year run.
Well, I'll tell you, Barry, with all due respect to Tony, he does make a pretty good point. Didn't he win 27 games for a last place team, I think? So
he won 27 games one year, yeah.
Yes, I mean,
set 27 games for a team that won like 70 games.
Yeah, I mean, that's I think that has to count for something a little, but I'm still
a little something.
Ryan.
Yeah.
I helped you there, Tony. Don't forget.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, I'm not doing my research. I'm trying to be.
I know you're doing fine. Hey, listen, Barry, I got.
At what point in their career are you giving them their 10-year contract?
Yeah, right.
Well, when he said 10 years, I tried to, and he said their prime, so I tried to define their prime, looking at everything. So that's why I went from 72 to 82 and kind of consider that his prime. That's when he won the most games.
Yeah, he was a terrific pitcher.
All right, so Barry, if you're going to start a team, I'm going to give you 3 choices. Not one of them was Cy Young because you already used that one on the last one. Okay, but you got Ricky Henderson, you got Mickey Mantle, you got Roberto Clemente.
Well, you're asking the wrong guy because I'm a Mantle. He's my pretty much favorite all-time player from when I grew up as a kid. So I would start with Mickey Mantle.
Okay. What about you, Candy?
Man, that's hard because I'm gonna say Mickey Mantle, Ricky Henderson. I'm gonna go with Ricky Henderson.
What about you, Eric?
I gotta go Mantle.
Tony?
I'm a Yankees fan, man. I'm gonna go Mantle. I wanted to say Ricky Henderson, but I've seen him in too many jerseys. Like, I know that shouldn't affect this, but he's played for so many teams. I got to go Mickey Mantle.
See, here's the thing. I have to go Mickey Mantle. I'll tell you, there's a financial reason for this. I have Hydrostone statues that I bought from Cooperstown that are sitting here. So there's a little bit of money involved called coin, Barry. And I actually ate at Mickey's place when I was out in Manhattan when it was there.
I was there many times.
Oh, yeah? Were you? Yeah, so yeah. I got a little bit of real estate with all that. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about if you had a Hall of Fame vote between Alex Rodriguez, Manny Ramirez, Rafael Palmeiro. Now, if you want to use none of the above on this, that's a choice too, or you can go all of them, whatever one you want, Barry.
Well, despite Alex's basically what he's done in his career, positive and negative. I mean, the one stat that I always come down to with him is that, there are 2 guys in history with 600 home runs 3,000 base hits, 2,000 runs scored, and 2,000 RBIs. One of them is Hank Aaron. The other one is Rodriguez. He's one of the best players I've ever seen. He should have played shortstop on the Yankees, and Jeter should have moved to third. That's neither here or there at that point. You know, he was suspended for what he did. I thought his mea culpa on his 3-part HBO series was, you know, right on. We haven't gotten that from anybody else. Maybe Mark McGwire petted a little bit. But I mean, as far as Bonds and Clemens, they've never said a word about it. So people like second chances. So of the three, I would vote for A-Rod.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, Candy,
I would vote for A-Rod as well.
Eric,
I'd put A-Rod in there.
Tony.
Same. He's the best player out of the list. Even with their extra juice. So I'm gonna go
With Rafael Palmeiro,
among other
I can't
things
vote
with
for.
him.
I can't vote for a guy that goes out there and lies in front of Congress. I didn't do it, and all of a sudden you're dead. Okay, so yeah, I'll give Alex Rodriguez, and for nothing else, he's interesting to watch on TV. All right, this is a solo question for you, Barry, and obviously Eric and Tony. You'll get this at a later date. But what are your thoughts about the return of Bruce Bochy to the San Francisco Giants as a special assistant?
You know, I'm sorry that, you know, the Padres didn't interview him and bring him back to manage in San Diego because, you know, he's a terrific manager. He obviously has a track record of bringing every team he's worked for over the top. You know, even the Padres in '98, who got swept by the Yankees in the World Series. That's the track record. I think it's great for the Giants. You have a rookie manager now who's never stepped on a major league field to do anything. So having him and Dusty Baker, and they brought Ron Washington back in. Obviously, Buster Posey is making a collection of people there to get the most out of these guys. And I think it's terrific for Boch and terrific for the Giants that he's back.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go to another Hall of Fame. What about Dave Concepcion? Dave Concepcion obviously played for Sparky Anderson, part of the Big Red Machine and Cincinnati Reds. That to me, he's certainly one of the best shortstops out there. And when you look at his numbers are exactly what they are. Obviously, he's a good defensive. And I actually had a chance to interview him at Al Lopez Field when the Reds trained there. 267 as an average, 23, 26 hits. Not bad for a shortstop, 101 home runs. 950 RBIs, obviously runs 993, but 2 World Series titles for the Big Red Machine. You think he's one of the best shortstops? Do you think he should be in?
Yeah, I would not. I would have no problem with Concepcion being in the Hall of Fame. I mean, I looked at, you know, when you're comparatively looking at offensive numbers, when I voted for Jimmy Rollins on this ballot and the last ballot, I compared him to Ozzie Smith's offensive numbers. And, you know, really? Concepcion is a lot more home runs than Ozzie Smith does. I mean, Ozzie Smith had less homers in his career than Bob Gibson, and Bob Gibson used to tease him about it all the time. So it's like, you know, why he never got any traction, and he really didn't make it on our ballot, and he didn't make it. He's not even mentioned. He's not put on these 8-person ballots anymore. I guess he would be on the next one, which is 1980 and earlier. We put him on that ballot, but you know, we'll see. But yeah, I'd have no problem with Davey in the Hall of Fame.
All right, Barry, I'm going to ask you this question. Eric and Tony, some of these topics are going to come up at a later date when we do this again on Saturday, but I want to get as many as I can with Barry while he's on a limited time schedule. I appreciate him coming on. And then at the end of the show, Barry, what I want you to do is let everybody know how they can read your articles. And then if you don't mind giving these two guys some advice on what they need to do to progress their careers, that would be great before we go. But I'm going to talk about the Dodgers really quickly. Okay, the Dodgers over $1 billion worth of salary to 9 players. Shohei Ohtani, $680 million. Mookie Betts, $120 million. Blake Snell, $66 million. Freddie Freeman, $57 million. Will Smith, $50 million. Teoscar Hernandez, $32 million. Tommy Edman, $25 million. Tanner Scott, $21 million. What are your thoughts about them spending that kind of money?
Well, they broke a club record last year, and I think a major league record by having $1 billion in revenue come in through the gates at Dodger Stadium locally. So in one season, they paid for all those contracts. So it's obviously a good business decision, spending the money, winning. They charge a lot of money for tickets and concessions at Dodger Stadium. They fill the place up. They draw like 50,000 people a game. They drove over 4 million last year. They get $100 million in marketing and merchandising a year from Otani and Yamamoto alone, and now you add Sasaki to it. I mean, but the Dodger business plan and meshing with their baseball operations plan is the best in baseball, and it just shows you that if you make the right investments and you do the right thing across the board, you can pay for what you're doing. And a lot of it has deferred money on top of it. So the Dodgers are expert at what they're doing. And, I have no problem with it at all. And you can't they tried to do this to the Yankees in the early 2000s
Right.
after the Yankees won all those championships. And they put in a luxury tax to hinder the Yankees from making the World Series every year. Now you want to go to a salary cap to hinder the Dodgers? It doesn't make any sense. What they're doing is good for baseball, and it should be used as a model by other teams to be able to work within their framework in their own communities. That you can't match the Los Angeles area, and what a franchise like the Dodgers can do. But let me also put it this way: this is a team that left Brooklyn,
Right.
and came to Los Angeles, built a stadium which they now own, lock, stock, and barrel, along with the parking lot at Chavez Ravine. But through all the O'Malley, the Fox, iterations, Frank McCourt, of course, was a documented disaster. But it took till
Right.
this franchise being owned by Mark Walter and Guggenheim Baseball to really get to the point where the Dodgers took advantage of every aspect of what they have to turn into the team they are right now. So this isn't something that just happened overnight.
Okay. A question I've always wondered, and then we'll let you get rolling. I appreciate you hanging with me for a couple more minutes. Okay. And, because I got the Miami Hurricanes and Texas A&M Aggies. So I need to get to that too as I begin working on my work with that. But do you think Tommy John should be in the Hall of Fame, especially since he has a surgery named after him? Because if it weren't for him, that revolutionized the game of baseball. I've always thought he's well deserving. But what do you think?
I think that, and to Tony's point before about us not voting for certain people for the Hall of Fame, I think we missed on some people. Jim Cott was one of them. Tommy
Right.
John is another. If you look in hindsight at their wins, their complete games, their shutouts, the fact is that Tommy John won more games after this hallmark surgery than before. Right. What does he have? 280 something wins?
Right.
Because he didn't win 300. At that time, it was like, if you win 300, it's like the 500 home runs used to be. Now it's 600 home runs, and there are some guys who have that or are not in the Hall of Fame. But I mean, yeah, if he had 300 wins, he would have been in the Hall of Fame. It's just stupid. We should have voted him in, and I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I think he had a Hall of Fame career, forgetting about the surgery. And as the legendary Dr. Job said, if the surgery existed and he was around when Sandy Koufax was going through what he was going through in the mid-'60s, they would have done the surgery on Koufax. It would be called the Sandy Koufax surgery, and Koufax would have had a lot longer career.
Okay. Tony, you have any questions you want to ask Barry very quickly?
Just like how navigating, like, I guess I'm sure you've been in like locker rooms, like the decorum of like navigating these locker rooms and these players. Like how have you been able to do that for so many years?
Well, first of all, I'd like to ask both of you, what's your career trajectory? What do you want to do?
Me, I'm not really into the print, but I do podcasting. My goal is to be able to build relationships with athletes, to have like longer one-on-one conversations with them and get more insight into the game, more in the video podcast space.
So what I would say to answer your question is that, it's just to your point, build relationships, and you do that by. There's many times I go into a locker room, and I go over, say hello to people that I know, or even that I marginally know, ask them how they're doing, chit chat for a while. Don't take out my notebook, don't take out my tape recorder, and basically just let them know, hey, I just wanted to stop by and say hello, so that the next time when I need them, they don't feel like I'm just using them in the locker room. That's number one. Number two, you just can't be afraid of anything. You can't be intimidated. These guys, not in this day and age so much, because with social media, cameras, it's a lot different than when I broke in. But what the managers and players would just try and intimidate you. I mean, Barry Bonds would just try and intimidate you. And if you just backed him down and laughed at him, you could develop a really good. I had a great relationship. I still do with Barry. I mean, and it's because I didn't take any crap from him, and he loved that. The guys, it's like if they shove it in your face and they know they can beat you down, they will. But if they know that you're not going to take any crap from them, they love that too. So it's like, yeah, you not be intimidated and build relationships. It's all about building relationships.
Okay.
Eric,
Thank you.
what do you want to ask them?
Yes, my ultimate goal is to do online writing, like content creation, and I understand that there's kind of, I don't know if rift is the right word, but how do I break down that wall between the establishment and the new school writer?
Well, what do you consider a new school writer to be?
Online content creation, like having your own blog.
Okay, well, I mean, I haven't written for a newspaper since 1998. I was one of the first people. I went and did a hybrid of sports business and all the stuff that I had done on the field. So, I went from Bloomberg to MLB.com to Forbes to Sportico, back to Forbes. It's just a matter of just working and you're constantly recreating yourself. Because the business changes, and you can't say that, gee, what worked for me in 1980 is going to work for me in 2025. I mean, I'm recreating myself again now as a content creator with, different things that I'm working for, and trying to combine social media to just get eyeballs, and recognition. And it's something that early in my career, I didn't have to worry about. I worked for a newspaper that had 300,000 readers, and they were going to read your stuff every day, and nobody cared how many people were reading your particular story. And now they do. So you can do it as an independent, which sounds like what you want to do.
Yeah.
And certainly, Tony, your podcast is independent. So I think that basically you cross over and try and generate as much energy as you can, so people recognize what you're doing. And so, you have to be a huge social media presence on every platform, but you have to control it too. So it's like, and you can't be abrasive and abusive, and you also have to be willing to respond to people in a positive manner. Just like, I might not agree with some of the things you guys said, but still, I'm totally willing to engage with you and have a coherent and conversation. And I just think that that's important in anything you guys are doing moving forward. And with AI, this is all going to change rapidly too. So who knows where that's going to go? I mean, I'm a dinosaur, man. I'm a T-Rex. It's amazing to me, still walking the earth. I'm 74 years old.
I'm a dinosaur too, called typewriter, Barry. That's how it was. I'm telling you, you and I were old enough to understand what a darn typewriter was. When I got to learn a computer, when I was at the Tampa Tribune. In fact, my guys like Tony DeMarco, all these guys got out of the business because they were sick and tired of social media. They got the hell out of it. Why you're still at it, more power to you, bro. I'm telling you, I don't like it either. It's a love-hate relationship.
I'm a glutton for punishment. That's all.
But you're all right. You're doing great,
man.
Scott,
was your typewriter from Olympia?
Oh, yeah, it was actually one of them, actually, now that I think about it. But Barry, listen, I want to thank you for doing this. But before you leave, I want you to let everybody know how they can find you and talk about some of your quick stories. If you have a moment to promote yourself, that'd be great. I always give you that courtesy. I want you to go out there and let everybody know, because after all, they want to find you. And of course, I get the luxury of finding your stuff when you text me all the time, and I love reading those stories when you send them me. Go out there, Barry. The floor is yours. And thanks so much for doing this and spending a few extra minutes with these guys.
Well,
They'll always remember it.
You are on my list, and every morning when I or whatever time of day I publish a story, or the story gets published for me, whether Sportico, Forbes now, I just go down the list and I send a link out to everybody on my list, maybe 85 people. So you're on that list, and if people
I'm proud to be on it,
then people tell me don't put me on the list. But everybody is pretty good. Everybody, a good amount of people respond. So that's just part of my whole thing every day. When I write an article for Forbes, you can go online, Barry M. Bloom Forbes, you'll get my column page, everything I write. That's the first way to do it, in the most easy way, every day. Secondly, what I'll do is I'll put it on X Twitter, I'll post it on X Twitter, I'll post it on Facebook, I'll post it on LinkedIn, I'll post it on, it automatically posts on another couple of social media sites. So you have that spread out there, where people realize that you're writing and that you have a story. And if they want to pick it up, they don't, fine. But at least it's out there. And then I have your list for my personal friends. And it's just a way of getting out there so people know what you're doing. I mean, you can't just write and have it go up on your site and make it feel like, well, that's it. Go find it. There's too much information out there. Too many people, too many content providers, and you need to separate yourself. And then, of course, what you write needs to be a little controversial too, so that people want to read you, and people, well, what's that bleep hole Barry Bloom saying today? What's Boomski saying today? So you have that. You have at Boomski on Twitter X. And you can find me just about anywhere.
And I appreciate you being on the list. Yeah, Eric, you got to tell him real quick what your favorite line is. He needs to hear this one about hating teams.
If you think I don't like your team, I probably don't.
So there you go. Hey, Barry, I had to put you on with this kid. He's pretty sharp. He's the future of our industry. But listen, I appreciate you going a few extra minutes, because these kids here are going to always remember your words of wisdom. And I think that we're trying to promote good journalism in baseball for a long time. And by bringing Tony on and Eric as well, they obviously been looking forward to the show for a while. Candy knows how you and I are good friends and how much I cherish everything about you, pal. So I look forward to doing another show with you at some point. I know you got to get going, but I thank you very much for sending yourself a few extra minutes out to educate these kids. These kids are mine.
It's a lot of fun, and give these guys my my email contact, and if you guys need anything, I'm out there for advice or whatever you need.
Thank you. I just followed you on Twitter and Instagram and everything. So
there you go, Barry. That's how you're promoting it, because you've extended yourself, man. You got a couple guys that are actually
already got it pulled up.
Well, I'll follow
I followed you too, and Barry, I'm gonna send you an article, and you tell me what you think. Don't sugarcoat anything.
I'd love to. Sure, absolutely. I read everything people send to me.
Well, there you go, Barry. You're a class act, in my opinion. You're a Hall of Fame person.
You need to have me on your podcast.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
There you go. See, Tony, glad you made it. Hey, Barry, I'm gonna tell you something. I've said this to you, mine. Tons of times. I'll tell it to you live. I love you, my man. You're one of my favorite people. Don't you ever forget that. You fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
You too. Same here. I love you too. And stay healthy.
All right. I'll do the same. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. And I turned 63 on December 29th, but I feel like my body feels like 90. What's that, Bear?
You're a young guy.
All right. Hey, Barry, thank you very much. God bless, and we'll be texting, but these kids appreciate you, and now you've gained a couple more fans. And Candy, what can I tell you? Now you know why I love having Barry on. Thanks a lot, Barry. God bless, all right?
Okay, take care, you guys. Happy holidays.
Thanks.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
But anyways, Candy, go ahead and give a station break.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40 plus years in the industry and how it has evolved and changed. Old school media versus new school media. Get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there's a plethora of great content. So go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to be a guest or you want to sponsor a show, email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Last but not least, if you see the red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, click it, like us, share us, and then tell all your friends and family. And turn on the notifications so you're notified anytime we go live. Back to you, Scott.
All right, thanks. Well, glad to have Barry Bloom on here. So, Tony, what was your takeaway from Barry Bloom now that you had a chance to interact with him?
Hey, man, all right, I'm gonna say this honestly. I can't wait to reach an age of being like that hot firecracker to like kind of tell young guys, you don't know what you're talking about. And like, but actually come back with like game and facts, right? It was great, a great conversation. I feel like I learned a lot. And now I'm ready to have him on my podcast. So it's pretty cool.
Well, there you go. Hey, listen, I told you, you know, that's what this is all about. He's been a guy that I've known for a long, long time. And now you'll have an opportunity. And this guy will give you great advice. He's one of those types of people that likes to give back. Eric?
First off, I like the guy. I really do. He's my kind of guy. And you know, I think the takeaway there is you always got to constantly reinvent yourself. Just given, like, I know, Scott, you've illustrated that in probably more than one book, and how actually you're a prime example of needing to do that, just because media is changing and AI is it's becoming a thing, and you have to be able to manage that, because, you know, obviously media is not the same as what it was when Scott broke in with it when his hair was brown than what it is now.
Yeah, you always remind me of that, don't you?
Because it was thanks to the books. It was thanks to the book, Scott. Your hair was super long. It was thanks to George's book.
Well, it's still super long, but now it's just gray. So what can I say? But I'll tell you what. Now, our next Saturday show will be after the first of the year. I want to make sure we have an opportunity to get Barry on with Tony and Eric, and Candy obviously has a chance to learn a little bit about him too. Obviously, there's some topics we weren't able to get to because of time constraint. No worries. Some of the ones we're going to carry over anyways when we have a little bit more time. I think it was very necessary to get Barry in to as many of these as we could, because his opinion is valued, and I wanted you guys to really know what his thoughts are, but we'll address some of them as well. So, but I hope everybody enjoyed this edition of Talking Baseball. So on behalf of Barry Bloom, Candy Ebling, Tony Lewis, and Eric Katz, my name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Talking Baseball. We'll see you in 2026. Happy New Year, happy holidays from your friends here at the South Florida Tribune Media Network. God bless everybody. Have yourself a great holiday season. Bye now.